Number 1. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan had it all figured out by age 18. Mean Girls proved she wasn't just another Disney kid. She had serious comedic timing and screen presence that veteran actors would kill for. Before that, Freaky Friday showed she could carry a major studio film and hold her own against Jamie Lee Curtis. However, the wheels then completely fell off. Lohan started treating movie sets like optional suggestions rather than professional commitments. She'd show up hours late, sometimes not at all, forcing productions to shut down and costing studios millions. Directors began refusing to work with her, and insurance companies wouldn't cover her films. The real tragedy wasn't just the missed call times, it was watching someone with genuine talent choose chaos over craft. Films like I Know Who Killed Me weren't just bad movies, they were desperate attempts by studios to salvage their investment in an actress who'd already checked out mentally. Number 2. Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer looked like he was genetically engineered to be a movie star. Standing 6 feet 5 inches with classic leading man looks, he'd already proven his range playing twins in The Social Network and earning serious awards consideration for Call Me By Your Name. Hollywood was ready to hand him the keys to the kingdom. Then came the messages. Screenshots of alleged texts from Hammer surfaced online, detailing graphic fantasies about cannibalism and abuse. The content was so disturbing that it destroyed his career overnight, not over weeks or months, but literally within days of the story breaking. What made the situation even worse was the timing. Hammer was already fighting an uphill battle to prove he was more than just a pretty face. His previous films, like The Lone Ranger, had underperformed, and he needed consistency to cement his A-list status. Instead, he got a scandal so bizarre that it overshadowed everything else. The industry's response was swift and absolute. His talent agency dropped him, film projects were cancelled, and his name became synonymous with one of the strangest controversies in recent Hollywood history. Hammer didn't just blow his shot at stardom, he obliterated any possibility of a comeback. Number 3. Hayden Christensen. Landing the role of Anakin Skywalker should guarantee a lifetime of leading man status. Instead, it became Hayden Christensen's career death sentence. The Star Wars prequels were massive box office successes, but critics and fans savaged Christensen's performances as wooden and emotionally flat. The backlash was so intense that it followed him everywhere. When Jumper was released, audiences couldn't see past his stiff delivery in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. The movie flopped, cementing his reputation as someone who couldn't carry a film outside the Star Wars universe. What's tragic about Christensen's story is that he showed promise before Star Wars. Life as a House demonstrated he had emotional range when working with the right director. But once the prequel hate train started rolling, nothing could stop it. Rather than fight through the criticism, Christensen essentially disappeared from major Hollywood productions. He chose a quieter life away from the spotlight, but by then, the industry had already moved on. His moment had passed, and unlike other actors who've survived bad reviews, the Star Wars association was too big to overcome. Number 4. Taylor Lautner. Taylor Lautner transformed himself from an unknown into a global heartthrob through the Twilight Saga. His physical transformation for New Moon created a teenage fan base that followed his every move. Studios noticed and started crafting action vehicles specifically for him. But when Twilight ended, Lautner's career hit a wall so hard, it was painful to watch. Abduction was supposed to launch him as a serious action star. Instead, it became a masterclass in how not to transition from teen idol to leading man. The film was critically destroyed and commercially ignored. Unlike his Twilight co-stars Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, who deliberately chose challenging indie projects to shed their vampire associations, Lautner stuck with safe, generic scripts that showcased none of his potential range. Every subsequent film felt like a step backwards. The most damaging part wasn't the box office failures, it was the complete lack of artistic growth. Lautner never challenged himself with complex characters or difficult material. He remained frozen in the same teenage heartthrob persona while audiences and the industry evolved without him. Number 5. Josh Hartnett. Josh Hartnett was positioned as the next big thing in early 2000s Hollywood, with Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down, and 40 Days and 40 Nights under his belt, he had the perfect combination of dramatic credibility and commercial appeal. Studios were lining up to work with him. Then he started saying no to everything that mattered. Spider-Man, Batman Begins, Superman Returns. Hartnett passed on every franchise opportunity that would have made him a household name. Those roles didn't just make actors famous, they created movie legends. What makes Hartnett's choices even more puzzling is that he seemed to understand the opportunities he was rejecting, but he deliberately chose smaller, more personal projects that never connected with mainstream audiences. His indie films received respectful reviews, but didn't build the kind of fan base that sustains a career. By the time Hartnett realized he'd miscalculated, the industry had moved on. The actors who took the roles he'd rejected, Tobey Maguire, Christian Bale, Brandon Routh, became the faces of major franchises. Hartnett became a footnote in the story of early 2000s casting decisions. Number 6. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf had everything mapped out perfectly. Holes established him as a talented young actor, Transformers made him a blockbuster star, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull positioned him as the heir to one of cinema's most beloved characters. But somewhere along the way, LaBeouf confused controversy with artistry. His public behavior became increasingly erratic, performance art pieces that bordered on the absurd, arrests that made headlines for all the wrong reasons, and interviews that left people questioning his mental state. Even when he tried to pivot into serious dramatic work with films like Honey Boy and American Honey, his off-screen chaos overshadowed his on-screen performances. Directors started viewing him as more trouble than he was worth, regardless of his undeniable talent. The final blow came with allegations of abuse that destroyed what remained of his industry support. LaBeouf had managed to burn bridges not just with audiences, but with the filmmakers who had believed in his potential. His career became a cautionary tale about self-sabotage. Number 7. Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy had the rare combination of comedic timing and dramatic depth that could have sustained a decades-long career. From Clueless to Girl, Interrupted to 8 Mile, she proved she could excel in any genre and hold her own against any co-star. But Murphy's career trajectory changed dramatically in her final years. She began accepting roles in low-budget thrillers and forgettable comedies that didn't showcase her abilities. Reports of erratic behavior and health problems started overshadowing her work. The industry began to pull back just as Murphy needed support the most. Directors who had worked with her early in her career stopped calling, and her once promising trajectory stalled completely. She became more famous for tabloid speculation than for her performances. Murphy's sudden death at age 32 ended not just a life, but a career that still had unrealized potential. Unlike the other actors on this list, Murphy didn't choose to sabotage her career. Circumstances and possibly her health made those choices for her. Her story remains one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking what-ifs.